Pompey Sound. Updates, the latest from Fratton Park, on the hour, every hour. Fueled by Piglet's Pantry. Click pigletspantry.co.uk to get your fill.
Saturday's opponents Reading are playing the transfer market with a vengeance. Liam Fraser is their second midfield signing in as many days. The 27-year-old Canadian joins Daniel Kirawa in moving to the Royals on a free transfer this week, both signing 2-year deals. Fraser was most recently on the books of Crawley Town, who were relegated from League One at the end of 2024-25. Fraser is Reading's 7th edition of the summer and the 4th permanent one. Paudie O'Connor, Jack Stevens and Kirawa previously arrived on free transfers, while Matty Jacob, Finlay Burns and Marco Mahoney have come in on loan deals. Fraser had only been at previous club Crawley for a few months actually, joining them at the beginning of February, on a contract until the end of the season. He was a regular for the Reds' first team in that period, however, playing 16 out of a possible 19 games, before being offered a new deal when his terms expired.
Blimey, it's musical chairs, isn't it? We at Pompey probably know Mark O'Mahony better than any of the Reading players will if he takes to the pitch against us on Saturday, and that will be interesting in itself, won't it? So many changes at Reading. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be all at sea when it comes to playing us, because football's football and you don't have to know the inside leg measurement of every one of your colleagues. But they will be strangers to each other and possibly strangers to the way the manager wants to set up and the patterns that he wants to play in possession of the ball and out of possession of the ball and so on and so forth. So it will be a serious training session for them, for the new boys at least. And a friendly, well, it'll be a friendly, no 50-50s, that sort of thing. Please, may there not be any injuries, please. So important that we do not want anybody in a surgical boot on Sunday morning. In the Steve Bones slot, which is available as a separate podcast, he's been doing the forensics on the whole Callum Lang Preston thing.
It's either the story of the week or the non-story of the week, depending on which way you look at it. A lot of talk at the weekend about Preston putting in a $2 million bid for him. People went a little bit crazy and said, "Oh no, Preston have made a bid. He's bound to go. We're going to lose him. What are we going to do? Why are we selling him? All this, that, and the other." Bit of an overreaction, I think, from some people. Not much official from either camp since. I think people have been desperate to know if there is any mileage in it, if it would happen, if it won't happen. My gut feeling at the moment is that we're okay. He's staying. I don't think he's going to go. I'm not saying he's never going to go anywhere. I think he probably will eventually. He's a very good player. Mm-hmm. Every player has their price, of course, we know that. But I don't think he's about to go to Preston, and I don't think he's about to go anywhere else this summer. I was reading the various stories from people trying to get a sort of confirmation from either end of whether there'd been a bid, whether it'd been turned down and so on. And the most interesting line I came across, the Lancashire Evening Post, who cover Preston obviously, they're actually a sister paper of the News, so there's a bit of a relationship there. They spoke to Peter Ridsdale, who people will remember as the ex-Leeds chap. He is CEO at Deepdale at Preston. He was asked specifically about whether there had been a bid for Lang, which had been turned down, and he said, "I can't." First thing he said, you'd expect him to say, he said, "I can't comment on any player at another football club who's contracted, can I?" Absolutely right. That is what you'd expect him to say. The next thing he said was, "I don't know where that came from." Now that suggests to me that they didn't make a bid, because if you fair enough, you can't talk about individuals, whether it's your player or somebody else's player, but if you're answering a question about someone you have made a bid for, you might still say, "I can't comment," because he's contracted, but would you then say, "I don't know where that came from"? If that's a genuine answer to a genuine question, that suggests to me that they haven't made a bid for him.
To hear the whole of Steve Bones' always meticulously well-informed slot, go to Pompey Sound podcasts on your podcast provider, and it's the most recent one with the headline that's suffixed Steve. So it's an interesting question, isn't it then? Where did it come from? If it didn't come from Ridsdale, and Steve Bone speaks the nuance of football, he understands his football owners really well, and he believes that Ridsdale is saying that it didn't come from us and therefore we haven't made a bid. But where did it come from then? Is the interesting story. Who planted this one? If a plant it was. It could be that somebody phoned Pompey and said, I'm acting on behalf of, and then that got out. Football agents, are they discreet? Most of them are, of course. Most of them are honourable people, of course, but some of them maybe shoot their mouth off, and, careless talk costs lives. However, it's intriguing, isn't it? But at the aftertaste of it all, let's assume it's behind us, the aftertaste of the possibility that Preston were desperately keen to sign Lang, whether it's true or not, the aftertaste of the experience of wondering about it is a positive one, because we're beginning to become a club who have players that other clubs, worthwhile clubs, big-ish clubs that have reasonable claims towards great things or decent things in the future, they covet our players, and that can only make us feel good.
Two players who left Pompey at the end of last season are unable to ply their trade, despite good showings at Fratton Park. Isaac Hayden was taken ill and had to be flown home early from international duty, and appears to be still under the weather with a condition that might be linked to the devastating bout of COVID he suffered during the pandemic, and former Pompey defender Cohen BRAMELL is still hunting for a new club after leaving Fratton Park last season, but a recent social media clip might just catch some managers' attention. While many free agents are getting their pre-season fitness at a PFA training camp in Leicestershire, including ex-Blues players Ryan Tunnicliffe and Ellis Harrison, Bramell's been sharpening his skills up north with WM football coaching. He's in good company there, training alongside Leeds youngster Joe Gelhardt, Liverpool's Tyler Morton, and up-and-coming Red Calum Moss. But it's Bramell who's stolen the show this week. The 29-year-old left-back showed he's still got it, unleashing an absolute rocket with his left foot during a training drill that was caught on camera and shared on Instagram. While it's probably nothing new for someone of his caliber, the pinpoint accuracy and clear fitness level should make any manager still looking for a bargain this window sit up and take notice. Let's face it, quality left-footers aren't exactly growing on trees these days. And here's Bramell, a proven threat down the left side, just waiting for his next opportunity. Bramell came to Pompey from Rotherham in January for an undisclosed fee on a short-term deal, but was one of 5 senior players let go at season's end, alongside Alexander Milosevic, Cassini Yengi, Anthony Scully and Tom Lowry. Despite impressing in his 12 appearances helping the Blues avoid relegation, and often filling in further up the pitch when needed, the club ultimately decided against extending his stay. With Jacob Farrell coming back from injury and the club looking for a dedicated winger to back up Josh Murphy, the former Arsenal trainee's 5-month stint at Fratton Park came to an end. That said, Pompey boss John Messineo hasn't completely ruled out bringing Bramell back. We haven't totally closed the door on Cohen for summer, Messineo said earlier in the summer. While we're happy with our 2 contracted left-backs, we appreciate Cohen's versatility. He did brilliantly for us and should catch the eye of another championship club. In different circumstances we'd have offered him something, but with Jacob out most of the season and us investing in a promising young Australian lad, having 3 left-backs is tricky right now. If something opens up later in the summer, maybe, but right now we need to free up space and funds for new signings. Of the 5 players released, only Yengi and Lowry have found new homes at Aberdeen and Kilmarnock respectively. Scully's been training with Danny Cowley's Colchester United, but hasn't signed on the dotted line yet.
No, I mean, however he didn't perform for us, you have to feel for Scully, who's had a lot of trouble with a very strange injury, which was an operation on one of his ankles. You probably read about this, which involved them inserting a plate of some sort, or a screw, I don't know, a piece of metal, and it didn't take properly. And you can't play football, can you, with a piece of metal inside you that doesn't want to be there? So whatever he managed to do whilst he was carrying that was all the more impressive. But he certainly didn't click in a blue shirt. He didn't get the treatment that Silvera did, thank goodness. and he always struck me as somebody who played with an awful lot of emotion. Even the way he warmed up on occasions when he was sent down the touchline to warm up by John Messina, there was an intensity there, which, if it could be converted into success on the pitch, would have made him quite a volatile, and we like volatile, dynamic players out wide, and it's evident that he was able to do that job, but couldn't do it for us, so we wish him well. As for Hayden and Bramell, I don't think anybody would have been surprised at all or put out if we kept one or both of them, because they both did a good job in a blue shirt. Bramell, I think, in particular, going down the left wing, going up the left wing, defending well, of course, because he is fundamentally a left back. But when he overlapped, when he went forward, and apparently he scored a goal in training, which will, if it gets onto YouTube, will make a few managers sit up and realise that he has the potential that John Messina talks about. But we have no use for three fullbacks. And Bramell would have been told, and he would have accepted, that this was no reflection on his own ability, that there wasn't room for him as things stand at Fratton Park. But Messina would have said, look, I've got your number. And, in football, you just never know. As for Hayden, that's a particularly unfortunate story, in that we discovered after he left us, when he was taken ill during a World Cup match in America, he was taken ill and had to come home early. He was a first-team pick, obviously, because he's a quality championship player on Newcastle's books, for goodness sake. And he can play in midfield as a holding midfield player, and a very imposing one he is too, because he started out as a centre-back with Arsenal, and his two appearances for the first team at Arsenal were both as a centre-half, so he's got that versatility that we know John Messina loves. The reason that we didn't pick him up, it's difficult to say. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. It may be money. He may have been used to a different type of income at Newcastle. His contract might say that even though he's not in the squad, and that he goes in and out of injury, and he has had his injury problems, shoulder for sure, needed a lot of repair, and he's been walking wounded on quite enough occasions. Thank you very much indeed. But we don't know whether that played any part at all in him not being picked up. But we do know that he did the job he was asked to do when he was asked to do the job. So we liked him. So we were a bit surprised. Not surprised, but we wouldn't have been surprised if one or both of those players had been kept, because they're model professionals and they do what it says on the tin. But they can do it in a number of positions, in a number of places on the pitch, and that's the sort of player that we're looking for. So we'll keep an eye on, and our fingers crossed for Scully, and hope that those two manage to find some success with another club, if it's not Pompey, of course. And good luck to Lowry and Yengi, who are now plying their trade, a phrase we quite like, north of the border.